Our third keynote, Leanne is here, I assume. Yeah, here she is. I've just got to make sure, you never know. Leanne Wiseman is an Australian Research Council Future Fellow and Professor of Law at Griffith University. Leanne is also the founder and chair of the Australian Repair Network. Her research is focused on the legal and regulatory responses to the international rights to repair movement, which are addressing our inability to repair the things that we buy and own. Leanne's research is examining the role that repair and reuse can play in a wide range of markets, such as consumer electronics and appliances. Her research on the right to repair will contribute to Australia's future environmental sustainability, and I'm sure, Leanne, everyone will be very keen to hear what you have to say. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you to the organisers for the invitation. I love talking about the role that repair can play. It is something that is so obvious, it's often forgotten. So today, I want to talk to you about the waste hierarchy that we have and how repair and reuse really needs to be elevated. So we've all seen a number of different diagrams around the waste hierarchy over the last couple of decades, the importance of them from the very complex to the more simple, but we know that they have always focused quite simply on basically refuse, reduce, and essentially recycle. What is being really refreshing of late, and probably the last 10 years, the right to repair movement is probably since 2012. So we're only talking a couple of decades. And this is really because what we've seen from our grandparents' generation in the 1930s of make, do and mend, where because of the Depression and the economic situation at the time, everybody had to keep things in use for longer and fix things. We had post-World War II, the kind of rise of the kind of push for stronger economies, consumption is pushed up, we know the story there. In the last 10 to 20 years, what we have seen is an increase in the smart technologies that invade basically our lives in all aspects. So what we are seeing now, and I really pay tribute to Elise, who's here today, I'm sure, for the fantastic kind of diagrammatic or infograms that we have here that really highlights that we need to think more broadly about our waste hierarchy, about what is best practice in waste prevention. It's not just about waste, it's about refusing, reducing, but also keeping our products in use for longer. And this is what's really important, that this is a step that will keep things out of landfill, and that is our end game here. The most recent global e-waste, and I'm going to concentrate on e-waste today because this is something that we all have in our homes. We have laptops, we have phones, we have smart cars, everything in our homes basically has computer software in it, so let's talk about that. We know that the global 2024 e-waste monitor report that's just been released has some alarming statistics. Basically, business cannot continue as usual. We are now producing 5 times and using 5 times as many electronic goods and appliances and equipment than the world can recycle. We know that. Everything that we are using now cannot just be recycled. So what is that stage? And I really love Costa's emphasis on design. We can talk about better design of products, and this is part of it. We've just seen the federal government pass procurement policy for government purchasing, and that is important too. We need to buy better. We need to recycle better. We need all of that. But what are we doing with the legacy of products and goods and equipment and machines that we currently use? We can't just let them go into recycling. So what are we doing? What we see is essentially some of the alarming facts that we have is around the use of our iPhones. We know that everyone upgrades, you get a new camera. The iPhone 5, 6s and 7s are no longer desirable. It's a 14, 15, 13 model of iPhone that we're all encouraged to buy and upgrade regularly. What happens to the old ones? How many people here have an old iPhone in their drawer at home? More than one. Louise Grace is here from the Reconnect project, a fantastic organisation that is taking those old iPhones 5, 6s and 7s. Louise is over there, look her up. You can give and send those old iPhones to the Reconnect project with Annette Brodie. They will repair them and restore them, clean them, and actually repurpose them to people who are vulnerable, people who are victims of domestic violence or perhaps who are homeless, who are very happy to receive an iPhone 5, 6, 7 or 8. What we're finding is that there are barriers to the repair of these devices, and this is where I come in. Why is a lawyer or a legal person here at a waste conference? Our laws are not keeping pace with the new technologies that we have. We can't fix a lot of these new pieces of equipment, and that is because there's been a tipping of the balance between the manufacturers who make them, I'll call them OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, and those of us who buy and use them. We know that when our $4,000 fridge breaks because the ice machine is broken, you will get a new fridge because they cannot replace the ice machine in your fridge. It is because it is badly designed, but it is also because you cannot get the spare parts, you cannot get access to the tools that you need to do it, and you cannot get access to the diagnostic information that you need for that fridge to talk to the new spare part, etc. So it's about spare parts, tools and information, and that's really why we're talking about why we need regulatory change and policy change. And this is why I'm so pleased to hear there are 60 councils here today. If I don't get a chance to talk to each and every one of you, can you seek me out? There's lots of conversations I want to have with you and state governments around how we can elevate repair in our communities. So why does it matter now? We know it is a first responder to the waste crisis. Repair is inevitable. We know things break. There is no surprise when your iPhone gets smashed or your machine breaks down in your business, or whether the ventilator stops working in the hospitals during COVID, which we did see. None of those machines could be fixed because we didn't have the authorised repairers. We didn't have the access to the parts, tools and information that we needed to keep those going, and it was a life and death situation. So the ability to repair is a fundamental human right when we speak about the category of goods. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these goods, but do we really own them if we can't fix them and keep them in use for longer? We are talking across all product categories. I said I'll talk about e-waste today, but these are issues for our farmers. They can't fix their tractors. We're working with the NFF, with John Deere, tractor manufacturers, about why our farmers can't fix their tractors either during a harvest. All consumer goods and electronic appliances in our homes, our cars, everything really, when you think about it, your coffee machine, your dishwasher now is connected to the internet, your refrigerator, your microwave, your iPhone, your laptop, your tablet, pretty much your lighting system as well, will be often smart devices, and with that comes essentially intellectual property, which is where I step in. It's in our cars, we know, medical devices as well, but if we look at the consumer electronics and appliances, because every Australian household has at least 3 big pieces of white goods. Just think about that for a moment and think about your own iPhones, your tablets, your computers. If we can keep all of those going for 1 or 2 years longer, imagine the impact that that will have on the environment, just keeping them going for longer. And that is meaning that they will be able to be repaired. So going back to Costa, yes, it is about design, how these products are designed. We really, there is a big push in Europe for better design, eco-design. We know that. We need that here too. We need design for disassembly. We need it in our building industry. We need it in our consumer electronics appliance. When you build something, an old toaster, you could undo the screws and take the tray out and fix it and clean it. Now it's all sealed, you can't. So the way the products are being designed are fundamentally important. But there's also the software issue, and that is the intellectual property part. Once you put software or any smart technology into your devices, there is copyright over that device that is owned by the manufacturers, and then there is also a digital lock. We call them technological protection measures. They came in, if you remember, with your DVDs, you know, when you got your DVD from overseas holidays and you couldn't play it on your machine at home because there was a lock on it. They're in our products now, so that if you try and a farmer tries to repair their tractor, it will brick their machine. It will stop working. It will remotely shut it down because there is basically the need for those spare parts to talk to the machine. This is all the intellectual property side of it. I don't want to bore you with that, but it's there, and they're using that to scare people. It's our IP, I hear from the manufacturers. We spend a lot of money on our IP and we can't share that information with you. It's also about privacy, security and safety, they all argue. We can't let just anyone fix a tractor. My God, it might, run and kill everybody. We know that the automotive industry in Australia that has the first right to repair law, which is a mandatory data sharing law that the federal government has supported through the ACCC, that global car manufacturers now must provide our independent mechanics with the right diagnostic software and information so that they can fix your car. That is something that they couldn't do, and that is why everyone still believes that you have to take your car back to the authorised manufacturer for warranty purposes. So that law really is a groundbreaker. It's a world leader, and Australia was in a really strong point then. We were very excited that we were actually going to change things. But I'll tell you more. Essentially, lack of repair skills is something that we're struggling with here in Australia. Affordable and accessible repair is also a problem. But design, IP rights, all of these are barriers, and this is what we're really looking at, how to promote repair and get those barriers lessened or removed. So the right to repair movement basically is a push for the last 10 years around recognising that we as owners of all of these products should have the ability to choose a repairer of our own choice and be able to access affordable repair services for those devices so that we can keep them going. How many people have got broken stuff at home that you can't get fixed? I would guarantee there's probably not anyone here who hasn't had a white good appliance problem, a car problem, or a consumer electronic problem where you wanted to get something fixed but you can't. It's too expensive, or there's no one who can do it for you, or the spare parts or information aren't available. In 2021, our Productivity Commission looked into the barriers to the right to repair in Australia, and they found lots of them. But basically they said, and there's 16 recommendations that are sitting with our Commonwealth Government at the moment, and we're talking to all the different departments, the ACCC, Department of Environment, you name it, about what we need to do to give independent repairers in Australia better access to repair information and supplies. And this will not compromise privacy, safety or security of these products. We know that. I know as an intellectual property law person, changing a screen on an Apple iPhone will not jeopardise Apple's IP in that phone, and nor will changing a battery. I can tell you that now. So for all of you, our Australian consumer law currently says manufacturers who sell goods to us must provide repair services and supplies. Spare parts and repair facilities for a reasonable period. How long is a piece of string? Lawyers like to use that term. But certainly we all know that you spend $4,000 on a fridge, you'll get a 2-year warranty if you're lucky. I bought a second-hand fridge because it had a second fridge because it had a scratch on the front. I got 1-year warranty with that. And then they will upsell you an extended warranty for a couple of $100. That don't ever buy extended warranties. I'll talk to you about that as well. Extended warranties, all they do is provide what you already have under the Australian consumer law. And that is a right that if your product should be of a certain quality, if a $4,000 fridge does not last for 5 years, there is something seriously wrong with the way it was made. So you have Australian consumer law rights, and if you ever have a problem with a manufacturer, say those magic 3 words, and they usually give you some response. So what I wanted to do is talk about our policy levers. I keep hearing this word. What policy changes can we make? It's really hard with repair and reuse. We have a recycling economy. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's doing a great job. There's lots of infrastructure. There's lots of investment and money and data. What we don't have is a repair economy. And it's new, we have to think differently, and how will we do that, okay? I've got lots of ideas and I'm more than happy to kind of suggest a few ways. Around the world, countries have left Australia for dead. In America, there are probably 18 pieces of legislation going through different states that cover agricultural machinery, consumer electronics and appliances, medical devices. There's an electric wheelchair piece of legislation in Colorado, basically addressing the fact that manufacturers should not deny access to repair parts, tools and information. So the US is doing really well. President Biden supported it. There's a federal piece of legislation. Their Federal Trade Commission recognises the problems in competition in aftermarkets, in the repair and service market as well. So we've got lots happening in the US. We have basically in Europe, we've got great examples. One way that we hear is that the problem is it's always around consumption. You know, people aren't looking at the right products. They're not buying smartly. They need to be educated better. France was the first one to introduce what we call a repairability label or a repair index. This is so that when you go to buy your white good or appliance, you can see a mark out of 10 for whether you can access spare parts, tools and information, and whether that product is able to be disassembled and taken apart and parts exchanged. That's a really good indicator, and in France we're seeing that consumers are using that. What it also does is incentivise manufacturers to design better. They design for disassembly, they must support their products. We saw in the UK when they passed regulation that manufacturers have to keep spare parts and information available for up to 10 years when they put a product on the market. Certain companies like Fisher & Paykel stayed in that market. A whole lot of other brands had to leave because they can't provide support or spare parts for those products. And we know that that is the case here in Australia. There is a dumping ground of cheap products in this country where there is no support for repair to keep those products going for longer. So the EU are doing heaps. They've looked at making batteries mandatorily removable, etc. Ban on parts pairing, where you know that parts can't talk to each other. That's a really good example with Apple iPhones, for example. So what we really need to have is essentially looking to best practice in other countries. We know what I really love. I'm about to go over and spend some time talking to these countries, is Wales and Scotland have invested to build up the repair initiatives that are happening in their local communities. What we can't often do is regulate always from the top down, but if you can build and support repair skills, knowledge, you will actually grow a repair economy from the ground up. Wales and Scotland have done this really successfully. They have funded already existing initiatives, and this is something that I really believe that Australia, our waste industry here, and also our local government and state governments can step up while we're waiting for the federal government to make changes to our intellectual property laws, our competition laws, all of the federal laws that they're responsible for. So what is Australia's support for repair and reuse? I'm really sad to say, officially, policy-wise, absolutely nothing at the moment. I cannot find a repair policy at a local, state or federal level here in Australia. And if I'm wrong, please come and tell me. What we see is little pockets of repair support from government. We see, for example, sustainable communities in South Australia. If anyone's here from South Australia, well done you. It's a fantastic board that helps support repair cafes. What we have in Australia is over 130 repair cafes operating in Australia. Has anyone been to one here? Fantastic, well done. If you haven't, I really suggest that you do. Repair cafes basically are volunteer organisations. People come together to share their knowledge and skills. It provides a common meeting place with a shared purpose for community, builds strength and strengthens communities. It also helps people save money, fixes things, reduces waste. Most of the things that come into repair cafes are stick vacuum cleaners, interestingly enough. Toasters, kettles, lots of small electronic appliances that we know that you can't pay an electrician to fix for you. They get fixed for nothing. What's really important about thousands and thousands of people frequent these repair cafes and volunteer their time. They are all not funded. There are a couple in Victoria that get funding. There are a couple here and there in different parts in New South Wales and South Australia that are getting local government or support from their sustainable kind of institutions in those, but it's often one-off short funding, okay? So what I would ask is, how do we promote and elevate repair with support of the waste industry and local councils and our state governments here today? I'm open for all conversations. I've got some ideas, but I'd really love to hear from you about how we can partner and grow that movement. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne, for those insights on repair and the circular economy. You're in a great place at Griffith University, so you can inspire all the young minds. I'm Thomas Freeman, the Managing Director of Impact Environmental, and as we open this year's conference, I'd just like to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude for someone whose presence and dedication have been instrumental in shaping the very fabric of this event. For the past 28 years, Greg Freeman has been the cornerstone of the Waste Conference, and his contributions have left an enduring mark upon us all. Reflecting on our humble beginnings, it is remarkable to see how far we've come since the inception of this conference in 1996, under Greg's stewardship at Coffs Harbour City Council. From its modest origins within local government circles, the conference has blossomed into a beacon of industry excellence with Impact Environmental proudly at its helm. Greg's leadership, marked by his warmth and curiosity, have been the guiding force behind our collective journey. His commitment to fostering connections and facilitating knowledge exchange has been nothing short of inspiring. In 1996, we had only 230 delegates. Today, as we gather with over 700, Greg's legacy continues to resonate within these halls. His curiosity fuels our thirst for learning, whether it's through the enlightening presentations you'll be hearing on industry advancements or through the impromptu conversations that spark out in the corridors. His warmth is evident in the welcoming of seasoned conference veterans, which there are many here, and the newcomers alike, and the camaraderie that is forged during our social gatherings. These remain the heart and soul of the conference. On behalf of the team at Impact Environmental and the entire waste industry, I extend my deepest gratitude to Greg for his invaluable contributions, and I look forward to the continued success of the Waste Conference in years to come. Thank you.
That's my son, and if you can't tell, he's the boss. Yeah, I am stepping aside, and I didn't want it to be about me, so this was a surprise, actually. So thanks, Tom. I appreciate those kind words. I'd like to finish this session anyway. I'm going to be here for the rest of the conference. I'm not going anywhere. No, I don't think I am anyway. just to finish this morning, thanks for the three presenters. As I said earlier, I'm sure they'll be available. I'm happy to talk to you with any questions. If you've got any dietary requirements, there's a table set up near registration. Again, check the app for your, or name badge for your streams that you're registered for. So after we break, after morning tea, this will be turned into 3 rooms. And just have a look on the outside of the door and you'll see what's in each session. And then, of course, as I said earlier, outside there'll be some trade presentations. Thanks to all of our speakers, and on your behalf there'll be a donation made. Costa is going to give me the name of a charity, which he will do at some stage, where we'll be making a donation on your behalf. Look, just to finish off, I would like to really thank everybody. I mean, I know there'll be a lot of opportunity to chat with people. My staff over the years, like I said earlier, with the start with Jeff Green, and we've had a lot of experience and we've had a lot of people. Dawn as well is finishing up this year, and Dawn's been with us for, I lose track, over maybe 17 years, something like that. Connie and the team. Connie's the engine, of course, you know that. Even I'm scared of Connie. But look, it's been terrific. And this year you might see a few familiar faces. My wife, Kathy, is here. Kathy Freeman, you might know her, the runner. She's here. And then I've got my 3 daughters as well, Olivia, Georgia and Sophie, and a few other family members. So we've made it a bit of a family occasion. That's the way it started years ago in our garage. And probably that's the way it'll finish. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you over the next few days.